This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Jambo, jambo. Warm welcome to you in the Masai Mara of Kenya. We have Olalashi sleeping here. I think that's a morning snooze. Welcome aboard to your very own safari live from the African wilderness. Good morning, everyone, and welcome in the Masai Mara of Kenya. Olalashi is just at the same spot where we left him yesterday. My name is Tim, and behind camera we have Big James. A very nice temperate weather. We have about 17 degrees Celsius, 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Remember, we're coming to you live. For those who are joining us, send us your comments and questions, hashtag Wild Earth. For young viewers, kids question at wildearth.tv. On the YouTube comment section at FC. Now, Olalashi and one of the lionesses is still at the same spot. So, 24 hours at the same spot. We can see elephants in the forest. So they're slowly grazing, and later on they'll be heading to the marsh. It'll be nice to see those elephants walking toward the marsh. So this couple here are mating. And seems like it's almost the third day. Not sure, but it seems like the second or maybe third day. That's a nice elephant family. And it's the family of elephant that I always like watching because of how their task formation is. They're always pointing upwards, a little bit crooked in some of the elephants there. Very nice. This is the third family that lives around here, and always see them walking out of that forest. It's a little bit chilly, so he keeps on raising his head and getting it down because of the cool air that is blowing his way. I'm sure that will be important during the day when the temperatures rise. But right now, he needs a little bit of warmth. So we've seen Olalashi taking over the Owino Pride and now the LAUR Pride. I haven't seen him right match with the River Pride. But seems like these two, Ololo Pride and the Owino, are really important to this lion because he's been moving up around these two prides, and you can see he's still fit. That lioness is fast asleep. I'm sure they had a very busy night. And in no time they'll wake up again and start mating. So that's the first elephant family that we see walking out of the forest. Very, very nice. They're actually out in the open. See them walking slowly. The young ones are still cold, so the mothers have to take them into the open because the sun is rising right now for warmth. It's always cold in the forest, and especially at night when we have very cool temperatures. So it's very important for them to come and sun out in the open. As you watch that elephant family and watch Lashe and one of the LOL lioness, let me take you over to another live location in Africa.
It's such a beautiful day here at Ambient Ngala, and you can see right in the middle of the screen we have a very interesting bird moving among the grass, and just under that dead branch now you'll see there's a bit of red around the face, black behind the head and around the back. It's a southern ground hornbill. Probably early part of the morning, maybe looking out for some insects, maybe there's some reptiles that will eventually go towards some open patches to warm up with the sun. And also the sun has also just started to show. It's a very, very beautiful morning. So I'm NIKKI here at Ambient Ngala. I'm going to be your ranger for this morning, and on camera we have Owen. So just to show you where we are going to be doing our drive this morning and what we're hoping to do and see. So I just want to go to our little map here. So I'm going to just hold it like this so that everyone can see. But we are currently driving in this section right over here. Now, last night, the lions were here moving up in this direction. So what we're going to do is maybe spend some time here and see if we can find that Birmingham pride, the ones with the white lines. But of course, because of the area being so open, we could be looking out for something else, possibly like wild dogs or maybe even cheetah. How amazing would that be? And of course, some of the beautiful birds. But for now, let's have a look at that incredible sunrise. There's also a wildebeest that is now moving into the scene. Now, it's hard to see this wildebeest, but we're going to try and just point out. So there's a tree just more left of where we're looking at now. And there's a ground hornbill crossing the road. Well done, Owen. Just look at how big this bird is. Now, the sound of an African hornbill is probably one of the most beautiful sounds because it basically sounds like African drums in the distance, like a doo-doo-doo, doo-doo-doo, doo-doo.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to an extremely pleasant morning here in Djuma Game Reserve. We're just admiring this tawny eagle off in the distance, who is clearly not ready to go about his business yet and is enjoying the warmth from the sun. Finally, it's not overcast, it's not grey, the sun is out and it is absolutely beautiful. My name is Lauren and I do have a cat. on camera. I may adapt that to G-Dog soon because I cannot say his name. We'll get there, don't worry. And I believe there's leopard tracks not too far away, so we're just going to admire this tawny eagle for a little bit longer, and then we're going to get on looking for an ingui. Ingui is leopard in Shanghai. We're near Treehouse Dam. I've already checked on the hyena den, as I'm sure many of you guessed, and it's not active, sadly. It's really not active regularly. I feel that things are changing at that den side, but as you know, I will check every single day that I can. Now, it's not too easy to identify this bird from a distance, but immediately you can see that really, really sharp beak, and that tells you straight away that it's a raptor of some sort. And then once you get a closer look at the beak, you can see that that gate goes right past the eye.
Yeah, Lauren, this is my father thing where she's crossed to the north before she found road. The better approach, you can check maybe if you must cut line until to the Zoe's road.
Sorry, that's instructions for me. We're working together to find us Mufazi Ingwe. It's a female. But there's actually 83 different species of raptors in South Africa, and I think it's on average around 53 of those species are found in the Kruger. And the word raptor actually comes from a Latin verb, rapere, and it means to grab, to seize, to carry away, which of course in the English language it's actually been adapted many times over, and it gives us the words such as rapid, rapt, rapacious, rapture, ravenous, and many, many other words that we use in our language, which have evolved over the centuries. But it originally comes from rapier in Latin. Fascinating. Okay, I've got some instructions here, so I'm now going to try and find this leopard.
Jumbo, jumbo, everyone. A very lovely morning. Welcome to this side of the Mara, and here I have a very beautiful but still sleepy herd of Cape buffalo. Well, my name is Isaac, and on camera I have Bungay. Our mission this morning is to find the 3 lionesses we saw yesterday evening hunting. Hopefully we find them because this is the area they were in, and everything else that comes our way, we'll share it with you. Remember to talk to us on #WildEarth. Questions and comments are really, really welcome. And first and foremost, a beautiful herd of the pure grazer Cape buffalo. Seems like they're waking up to a beautiful morning. This area must be very cold in the night. Imagine being surrounded by water here and there, long grass, and being exposed to all elements, including rain that we had last night. You know, must be very cold. That's why many of them don't want to leave a spot. Maybe they've been lying on for the last 2-3 hours. It's nice and warm. They don't want to leave it. That's why they are still resting. But looks a few are waking up and they start moving. Yes, this is an animal that is always very inquisitive. They look at the vehicle like, you know, there's something inside that belongs to them. Of course, very dangerous. The senses are all very good. And this is what we call a breeding herd. Mix of male, females, and young ones. This is a pure grazer, but also feeds on, you know, creepers and little shrubs. It will feed on them, even berries. It will feed on them. Rarely, in drought times, they will browse. That is when they're really, really pushed, and they can get to be very, very big. Their demeanor is known by everybody who's been walking or doing safaris in Africa on foot. They can be very, very dangerous. At the moment, you can see all of them are alert, looking at me, trying to figure out what's going on. Megan, you say they're such underrated. I don't know what you mean by that, but we don't underrate them here in the Mara. I myself don't ever, underrate, the buffaloes. I know their demeanor, I know their behavior. I have full respect for them. But thank you for your comment. Here we have cattle egrets that are, enjoying the warmth on the back of these, huge herbivores. You see them over there. They have a symbiosis, apart from making sure that there's no ticks and insects that are about to transfer disease to these animals. They also get some warmth from, the buffalo. These are good, maybe 500 plus. They are lying down, many of them. So they're very, very, very many. And most of the ones looking at us are females with young ones. Of course, I'm sure they are threatened when they've got young ones. That's what they think, we're going to take some young ones. And so they're very, very alert. This is an animal that is found in tropical Africa, all the way down to southern Africa, and it's not under threat in any way. So they're doing really, really well. Let's find out what's happening in our next location.
From the buffaloes back to our lion and elephants. So this lion has just woken up and mated, but it takes an interval of about 15 to 20 minutes, so we have to wait for a little longer before they do it again. So our elephants are slowly walking out of the forest. So these families, we always see them within this specific spot, walking to the forest back and forth and heading towards the marsh. Now, elephants are not territorial. However, each family or clan has a specific home range. Sometimes this home range is made of a lap, so they can walk very long distances in search of nutritional forage and water. Sometimes they also walk a little further to find salt lick and some specific minerals. So this home range has those certain spots where there's good forage, where there's water and also mineral. So also, this depends on time of the year. So at this time, especially before the rains, it's always so dry. So the grass around this area becomes hard, and the water puddles that are always within the savanna ends up to be dry. So the only favorable place is at the swamp and at the river. And because the little ones sometimes are too young to maybe cross the river, so what happens, they always choose a spot where it's favorable for these youngsters. So that depends on actually the queen or the matriarch. Sometimes I like calling them queens because without them, these families will not be what they are right now. You can see that lion just enjoying the sun because it's a little bit warming up right now. And you can see the elephants are all walking out in the open because just like humans, babies, the young calves always get cold. Jason, thank you so much for your question. The elephants don't see the lion, and wait until you see the reaction when they see the lions. Elephants don't have a very good eyesight, but they have a high sense of smell and hearing. So because the wind is not blowing their direction, they can't really get to see the lions. But it will be very interesting. So the lions have actually had the elephants walking closer, and you just see the reaction. A family with babies cannot tolerate predators around them. But since lions in this area have not specialized in taking down elephants, so this is not real danger to them. But you find because of adaptation, there are places where lions are in big prides, consisting of about 20 to almost 30. And those are the ones that will go for big, larger prey. Like I see now, they've seen the lions. See how she's doing? She's just sniffing the air. Just look at the reaction. Very, very nice. So the lions have actually backed off. Give the giants space. And because they know there is no danger being that close to lions rather, they just mind of their own business. But they're always cautious and always want to keep them off. Our first family of the day, walking towards the marsh. Very, very nice. Look at that tusk there. We're going to see an elephant crossing. Followed by the little calf. Yasi, thank you so much for your question. So when an elephant matriarch dies, the immediate sister or the second in command, who is always the big sister to the matriarch, will take over. So sometimes, if the family was big, so what happens often, or maybe once in a while, you find that they'll split up, forming two herds. So one sister will take off another herd, and most of the time you find that blood relatives will carry on to be led by one older female, and the rest will be taken over by another older female. But often at times you find that the second or older sister to the matriarch will take command and lead as the matriarch. Sometimes we witnessed groups of families coming together and then split up. That is what we call bond families. So families that we were broken up and split up because of the size. And most of the time you find that because of environmental factors, families will break up into family bonds, and those blood relatives always carry on together. But once in a while, when they meet up, they greet each other and then end up heading back to their different directions. Young bulls tossing off. Beverly, most of the time you find that elephants don't have fur, like as compared to buffaloes, eland, and giraffe. So just only a few times that you'll find them associate themselves with big game like elephant, but predominantly you find that when the animals with fur like buffaloes and giraffe, because it's the The ticks will hide often in their fur, and that's the reason why you always find big flocks of oxpeckers associating themselves with buffaloes. So elephants are not that exposed to ticks as compared to the animals with fur or hair on their body. Beyond the tree cover, that's where they're heading to. And around noon, you'll find lots of families there. And then later on in the afternoon, you see them heading back. Very, very nice seeing those mini migration. So that's the matriarch there. That's the one that raised her head when she saw the lions. They are always the largest and the oldest females in the unit. Just listen to that. Slowly this elephant family is walking towards the marsh, so I'm going to back off, change position to see or watch these lions. So I'm going to send you over to another live location.
Good morning, good morning. It is a beautiful morning here in Tswalu, Kalahari. The birds are singing, the sun is shining. Everyone is happy after the rain, especially us as well. It's incredible. Good morning, guys. My name is MAURITZ, by the way. Behind the camera, we've got David. We are currently in the spot where we left those lions last night before we had to run from the hailstorm. So no more lions anymore. The carcass is finished. There's a little bit of skin and bone left and so on. So we are going to see if we can pick up on those tracks. If not, luckily with the rain being so hard last night, if there is tracks to find, it's going to be very easy to follow. So with that being the case, if we do pick up on something, we're going to follow it and see if we can't show you some lions this morning, or if not, pick up on a cheetah, or just, enjoy how beautifully fresh the Kalahari is looking at the moment. It's incredible. You can already start, I just told David, it's incredible how quickly the Kalahari reacts to rain, because it has to. You can already start seeing a green shine as the shrubs and the creepers and everything is starting to come out. Within a matter of 12 hours, it's gone from a dull brown, a reddish brown color to a beautifully green shine. But yeah, guys, we're going to see if we pick up on those tracks. And then as soon as we do, we're going to let you know, okay?
Good morning, termites. Good morning, termites. I hope you have a lovely day today. That is the termite song that I have just composed in honor of this termite colony that lives within this very large mound. Now, often you will hear people say to you, that, in fact, mounds that are occupied by so much grass cannot have that many termites in them. And here you will see that that is a fallacy and untrue. On this stick is a soldier termite, and he thinks that the stick was trying to invade his mound, so he is attacking it viciously with his pincers. But he is shortly to be relieved, because I'm going to put him back in his mound to go and rejoin his friends or his regiment. There we are. My name is James Hendry, as you just saw there, and I must just announce that on camera today is Niels the Hood from the ganglands of Pretoria East. It's good to have him back on drive with me today. We are in the northern section of our sort of traverse here on the western fringes of the Greater Kruger National Park, and we're heading in an easterly direction, hopefully to find some tracks of a leopard, because basically 99% of the time that we're here, we're looking for leopards, but we'll hopefully see lots of other interesting things as we go along. And one should always, at this juncture, mention this very special grass that grows on these termite mounds. And we mainly mention it because it's just nice to say. The name of it is Chlorus roxburghiana. Isn't that a great name? Chlorus roxburghiana. I think it's a wonderful name. So, that is all I have to say about this particular termite mound and its occupants, both vegetable and animal. And so from here we will head on to find a leopard.
Good luck, James, finding leopards. Back to my elephants here in the Mara Triangle, and that is a beautiful elephant. I think he has mastered the art of using the trunk, and play is no more for this little guy. I can tell he has picked up to use the trunk. Must be something he's trying to pick up. Wish we could see, but all in all, we can see that, he's busy doing something down there with a leg. Yeah, he's picked it. Yeah, that is, I would say, about 3 months. Quite young. Sometimes they're so interesting. If something really bothers them, they will go down on their knees and try and pick it up. The only few times you'll see an elephant try to pick up something directly with its mouth. Here, it's a good number of them. Scattered, spread out. Due to lack of any threats, this is how they spread out. But in case of danger, all of them will gather up to protect one another, and especially the young ones. They will do that. They are walking in a line formation, heading towards, a specific area for a certain reason that the matriarch knows. This looks like an old lady here, and she's carrying one. Jamie, is it Jenny? Sorry. When does an elephant bull leave the herd? From the age of about 7, they start showing signs of independence. Already they are big enough, but at 15 is when they really break out and head out completely. From the age of 7, they'll associate with the herd, but always at a distance. But eventually at 15 is when they're known to really split and join a bachelor herd or roam freely by themselves. At that stage, they're usually quite big, very intimidating, and have got no potential, predators that can take them. And so they are immune to lots of things. Look at that, how he's loving to eat the grass. He's gonna be eating that for the next 60 years. Julia, thank you for your comment. Gorgeous light on these elephants. Of course, is that morning beautiful light. You picked up that it's different. Thank you. It is very gorgeous. It is a morning light before it gets flat and a little bit out of tone in like right now. So it is gorgeous. It's a morning light, what they call the magic hour. The photographers, they love it. Yeah, this is a good 30 elephants here. And always a bonus to see this many this early. Lots of young ones. This is an animal that is fighting a battle that we only can help it. In many places, it will go extinct because people are still trading on some of its artifacts, like tusks, and habitat loss is affecting it. Human population is pushing it away from many places, and so to see these many is a bonus, and to share them with you, it's really nice, so that you see how they're supposed to be living. Look at that female's tail. Wow. It's not always you see such a thick tail hairs like that, well kept. It's very useful, the tail, for swatting flies from the back, the middle of the body. Those hairs are actually the size of wire, binding wire. If you know what binding wire is, many of us know. It's a wire used in construction. That's how thick it is, the tail hairs. They're so thick. And she's using it appropriately. Actually, I think that was one of the longest tail hairs I've seen in a while. Normally they're not, they're usually scruffy. 2 or 3 hairs, sometimes 5, but this one looks very, very thick. They're loving the grass right now because it's full of water from the dew and a little bit of rain, and so it's soft. It's like eating noodles or spaghetti. Nice and soft, and with water can easily be swallowed. Lauren, what age do they learn to use their trunks? From the age of about 3 months, they'll start using their trunks. But from the age of about a month onwards, usually it is just an attachment to their trunk, and they don't know really how to use it. They just try actually to get rid of it because it's a nuisance. It cannot hold on anything, so sometimes you find them trying to throw it away, which can be quite interesting. That little guy with his mommy there is about a year old and has mastered how to use it, you can see. Using it appropriately, how it's supposed to be used. Yeah. Looks like a male. The little guy, look at the tail hairs. Very scruffy. I think he's gonna grow some more later on in the few years to come. Well, this is such an amazing sight early in the morning. I'll leave you to enjoy a few seconds of it as we take you to another location.
It's always nice seeing elephant calves. They're always so exciting, especially when they don't have coordination of the trunks. So back here we have a crane family. It seems like mom and dad are teaching the youngsters how to feed as they're walking across the road. You can see how they're eating the grass there. You can see the adult always watching over for predators. So cranes will always pair. So whenever they have chicks, they always hang around with them until they become independent, where they always leave the families. But the family, mom and dad, will always be together. Although they're omnivores, most of the time you see them eating on grass. They eat the grains, plant seeds. Sometimes they go into the marsh, where we always find them. They're always foraging in the marsh. We find sometimes they eat aquatic animals. They eat also eggs of the aquatic life. Sometimes it might be fish or the frogs. And when they're walking, they always flush out insects. I've seen them going for little snakes, lizards, scorpions. Consulting detective, very much lovely, lovely juveniles. Sometimes you find them associating themselves with antelopes, Thompson gazelles, impalas, even Grant's gazelle, and those insects that are disturbed, or those rodents or lizards that are disturbed. When those animals are feeding, then these cranes get an advantage of that. Joe, thank you for your question. Yes, these cranes are intelligent such that whenever they'll see prey, or predator rather, what normally happens, one of them, the adults, will lead the young ones, the juveniles, away, while the other one will go direct towards the predator, be it a jackal, sometimes be it a leopard, because it can be preyed upon by leopards, jackal, and sometimes even hyena, and then they spread out their wings trying to chase them or scare them away, and making the rest go to a safe haven or safe area. So the only advantage these juveniles have, or cranes have, because their chicks are precocial, Kayla, thank you so much for your question. Yes, sometimes they have a territory or home range rather, where they will always be foraging around those home ranges. But those home ranges are covered like territory because that is where they always come to rest or feed. But in those home ranges, they have specific nesting places. So they have roosting trees. Sometimes they have roosting places near the water or near the marsh area where they always head back there in the evening. So I was saying the chicks are always precocial. Most terrestrial birds are precocial, meaning that after they hatch, after a few minutes, the chicks can be able to run away from predators. So So that is an advantage that terrestrial birds or terrestrial nesters have. So, for example, if these juveniles are male and female, yes, they can. Thank you so much for your question. These birds can fly, but we always, because their diet consists on terrestrial plants and sometimes snakes, insects, because they're always found on the ground. You see them walking just like the secretary bird, which can fly and always spend their time on the ground. So if these two youngsters are both male and female, when excuse me, Marianne, thank you for your question. During the night, they can spend their time on trees, or sometimes they have their nest in the swamps, in the middle of the swamps, especially where there's some little islands where it's at least protected from predators. Most predators don't go further into the waters at night to feed. So that is where they'll always nest. Sometimes you can find them on trees. So at independence, these two juveniles, after they're fully grown, will split up to go and form their own families. So a very interesting behavior that has been observed on cranes is that big families will congregate together, where it's said that it's always a wedding meeting when the chicks or the full independent ones are married off to different family. How that was discovered was very, very interesting, and I always want to see that happen, to see the wedding ceremony happen of these cranes. But that is a story of another day. I wish to see that one day. As I take you over to another live location, let me go find something else.
Well, one day, Tim, maybe you will be able to witness the crane wedding. Very interesting. But back to my area of the Mara, I have come across the river breakaway of 4 young males and 1 lioness, but I see 2 males and 1 lioness. These guys are from the River Pride. They're not very far from the territory where they were born, and it's such a lovely area, as you can see, and not very far away from them is what they go for, what they love, what we know them for, the Cape buffalo. And looks like they are planning to go for these guys. These guys have got no idea that the lions are here. The lioness and the lions are here. And so it's one of those moments, very tense for me. And now I have infected you with that. It's going to be a tense few minutes to come, because they are very keen on those buffalo. They are looking, as you can see, the tag guy on top. Every now and then they are looking towards them. These males don't have a very big mane, but the body size, they are fully grown. They're very, very big. I would say they're about 4 years old. We haven't named them but we will be doing that the day we get too close to them and pick up some identification markers. I'm sure they do have. At this time, they don't have a pride. I don't know what will happen to Olalashe and Kijana when these guys fully grow, or when they start demanding a territory. Yes, of course, they're very intimidating when they're 3. You see the one to the right, all of them are very, very interested in those buffalo. And sometimes they wait for the buffalo to make a mistake, then they just run towards the buffalo. You see that? Very interested. They're very big. Body size, they're fully grown lions. It looks like one of them is starting to move in. I don't know if it's moving in towards the buffalo. I'm not sure. Let's find out. We have witnessed a few times where they've killed buffalo, and once they learn that they can kill buffalo, lions tend to go for buffalo always. He's going like he doesn't care. And another one is following. Well, this looks like it's going to be a battle here. Definitely. They mean business. They are going straight for the buffalo without any worry. The buffalo are coming. Yes, this is 4 against 2 because the lioness hasn't started coming and one of the other males is not here. This is normally how they start. They intimidate the buffalo comes, then they choose which one to go for. They pretend like, you can see now, it started, okay. The buffalo is going for the lion, but this is how it starts. They will try and tire the buffalo. It's not a walk in the park here. The buffalo is very dangerous. With those horns, it can kill a lion with just one hook. The other buffaloes are coming to help the ones that had run away. There is a lioness that has come out from out into the open. Yes, Jake, thank you for your comment. They have the worst cut out for them. But I tell you, there is another lioness that just came out of the bushes. You're going to be seeing her. There she is. So we have more lioness. It's the other lion. The one I was saying I couldn't see. So actually we have all 4 here. I don't know if they're still going to continue or they're going to give up. Looks like they have decided to move on, the lions and the lioness. They are moving on. I don't know if it's just a tactic waiting for the buffalo to try and chase them, then they're gonna come back. Well, looks like they have decided to move on, head out towards the bushes. But that was very, very interesting. I thought we were on, but the lions have got other, things in mind. The buffaloes also have given up. They don't want to give chase. And the lions doing their walk like nothing has happened. They're not scared of the buffalo. This is a new pride. I think that's going to be very intimidating. As you can see, they're not worried about anything. Are the buffalo gonna go for them again? If they go for them, it's going to be very interesting. They are thinking twice, the buffalo. Well, this is such a nice scene. I'm gonna stick here for a little bit longer. Don't you worry, you won't miss out on anything.
I'm live. I think there's another vehicle here to see the owl. It's just up there. Come forward. We're just doing a little bit of a check on Sebwick's mama and sibling. And you can just, oh, you see it's moving, it's moving. It's like I'm doing my daily rounds each day to see if we can get a view of the chick. I can't not come here. I can't not say hello. Now, I told you about these wonderful diagrams that I found in a beautiful book called The Owls of Southern Africa. Now, I don't have the book. It's not mine, it's a friend's. I only have photos on my phone, and unfortunately I can't show you, but I'm going to draw them out for you. So you will have to excuse my terrible artistic work, but the diagrams are so beautiful and it details each stage by stage and what we're looking for. And someone actually sent me a message yesterday saying the chick's eyes are open, and they're definitely not. They're very much sort of glued shut, if you like. They're very, very sticky. They're closed. It will happen at day 7, and the chick's definitely not 7 days old yet. They're still very much shut. They may be trying to open them, but it's not quite there yet. It's still very artificial at this stage. And you can see Mum can barely keep her eyes open as well. Must have been a long night. You see the chick's completely hidden now. You have to be lucky. I think at this stage it's a timing thing. And I'm still going with the first. So that means it's around about 5 days old, I think. So in the next few days, it really should open its eyes and see the world for the first time. I love that expression from Mum with that one eye half open, just keeping an eye on us. I really don't think she moves much during the night as well. The male will come to feed. I haven't actually managed to spot the male, but he should be roosting nearby as well during the day. But he'll do all the hunting. That's his responsibility. So it's a joint effort in the paternal care. About next week, we should start to see Mum leave during the day now, and there will be moments where we're able to catch the chick completely on its own. Just letting you enjoy this moment with Mummy Sebwick here. It's so serene down here in the Mulwati. I checked on the Wahlberg's nest as well, but obviously it's much higher up in the tree, so I wasn't able to see any signs of the chick or Mum or Dad feeding. But I think there's definitely a chick inside. We saw movement the other day, so it'll be lovely when it gets a little bit bigger and we start to see it popping its head over the nest. You can just see the chick just sort of under her chest. There's a tiny, tiny, soft-looking white feather. It's moving ever so slowly, and that's the chick. He's tucked right under her wing this morning. Okay, so we're going to sit here and enjoy this beautiful sighting a little bit longer, and then we'll let Mama Owl rest.
We have got the most exceptional pond sighting for you there. Look, oh, there's something in the pond. It is a hippopotamus. Now, I have not done the traditional daily Buffelshoek Dam hippopotamus sighting since my return, and that's because we've had so much other space to drive in, but I thought we'd better do one, because we did find some leopard tracks and they were heading this way. So, there is the traditional hippopotamus sighting at Buffelshoek Waterhole, and in keeping with their general modus operandi, they have disappeared as we went live. So there's a tiny baby there and a mother. They were virtually out the water when we arrived. They sat out the water for a while, and then as soon as they heard that they were going to be on the television, they disappeared. And so now we're looking at a pond, pretty much. Anyway, still a very pleasant morning out here. Crested barbet calling. Egyptian gooses. A mournful call of Shivambalana, the emerald spotted wood dove. Red-billed buffalo weavers. And then we'll have one look at the grey heron, which is sitting on the dead tree at the end of the waterhole, observing things. On one leg. My understanding is that birds do that in order to regulate the heat more than anything else. You know, they don't lose as much heat if they stand on one leg, but I don't really understand it on a day like today because it's the most perfect temperature. It's interesting, you know, we tend to think of ourselves as knowing a huge amount about biology, and I suppose we do, collectively as a human species. Yes, quite. Anyway, but I've been, as you know, reading about navigation, and it's really just amazing how little we truly understand about how things work and how much more there is to learn and the mechanisms by which they work, that they operate. And a good example is that heron standing on one leg. Why on earth is it standing on one leg? They are the noisiest things. It's not a pleasant sound either. Shut up. Thank you. Good. Well, oh, there's a little one. There's a tiny little hippo. That's fantastic. Jumping around on Mum's back, and also I think there's a bit of a shallow spur under the water there. But I now think that we will carry on our trawling for whatever animal it is that we can find. Mainly, of course, as I say, we are looking for a leopard. Good. Here we go.
Welcome back to the Mara, where we have a mixed herd of giraffe. We have the young male, young females, and a very big bull that is towards the left. Looks like they've seen something, but not quite sure. Sometimes giraffes will tell you if there's a predator around, but that seems like just like a social interaction. That's a big bull who sometimes walk into these herds to analyze if the females might be in season or not. Browsing on leaves and twigs falls in a very big part of their diet. And in the morning you always see them feeding, and late afternoon. That's a beautiful tower. So young males sometimes will do a social interaction where they'll be necking, and seems like some of them are not happy about it. They don't want to neck, but earlier on when you saw them, they were a little bit necking. Yes, it's just, see, those two are going about it. That kind of interaction enhances the bond between these families. So thanks to the dry season coming in, you find that congregation of animals come toward these swamps. That's a very nice interaction there. You see how they splay out their legs to have a firm ground, firm grip, and then swing their necks to each other. So during the rainy season, food is abundant and giraffe will spread out more. So right now we can see that they're all gathered here because of the short rains that rained last night. So the fresh shoots that pop up on the leaves on those trees, they get advantage of that. We don't often see them drinking water because there's adequate supply of water from the foliage they eat. So they can go up to about 3-4 days sometimes without drinking, thanks to the leaves they eat. So before getting to the forest, they have to check, analyze, see if there's danger, if there's any predator around, and then they start heading towards the area where the foliage things would be better. So as these giraffes are walking toward the forest, let me take you over to another live location.
Alrighty guys, just have a look at this beautiful setting. I was mentioning to David now earlier after the rain from last night, look at how clean everything looks. It's just beautiful. Stunning, stunning background. Beautiful herd of Cape Eland as well, but look at how beautiful that is. Everyone's just happy this morning. And yeah, it's not often that we get to see the herds of eland like this. They are unfortunately moving away from us, but it's just beautiful to have them not running away. Their personality is just of such a sort that they don't enjoy having anything strange close to them. Now, this group, however, I think after the rain and so on, they're a little bit more relaxed. There's a beautiful group of red hartebeest also on the right-hand side, just to where the eland is looking now, right over there. You can see them standing. Seems like they've noticed something and decided to run towards it. I think they're just in a good mood, eh? They're not the most aggressive of animals, so if it's something like a predator or so, they will rather move away from it. But yeah, coming back to that setting is just incredible. All the birds are singing. I can hear a clapperlark behind me. There's some... everyone's just in a good mood this morning. Quite a few male eland in this group. I did see a female or two, but it seems like it might be two herds that joined up, like a little group, a little breeding herd, and then a bachelor herd that's just coming to say hi now. There's definitely one dominant male in the herd as well, with a breeding herd now. And he's, just as we came across them, he was busy displaying and, pulling up his upper lip, showing that phlegm and grimace and all of those things. So he's definitely showing the other guys that they need to know that he's the boss around here. But for as long as they don't show any interest in his females, it seems like they're actually enjoying the little bit of a reunion. And I think they're very happy because now, eland, see that one's got a short tail. Possibly, there's a number of different reasons why that. You see there is the phlegm and grimace that I spoke about. Pulling up that upper lip to expose a little highway to the brain that's situated just above or underneath the upper lip on the upper gum. We call it the Jacobson's organ, that highway. And they pull up their upper lip to, if there was a female that was urinating there or so, he'll go and sniff that. And then he pulls up his lip like that to expose all the pheromones and chemicals and so on to that Jacobson's organ, and that'll tell him everything he needs to know about the individuals, urine or whatever that he just smelt. Quite important. Very happy that we don't have to communicate like that though. Not anymore. But yeah, just beautiful. What I wanted to say was I think they're quite happy with the amount of rain that we've had, because with them being such large animals, they're just like buffalo, they're classified as bulk grazers. So they need quite a lot of grass to keep them going, and they do mix feed as well, so you will find them feeding on the camel thorns and those types of things. But if they can choose, they'll go for bulk grass and so on. So now that the grass is going to start growing, it's very good for them. They are going to just explode now, which is very good, because also for the females, it was calving season now. So, well, to a certain extent, we've seen a lot of babies in the area. So for them picking up condition now with the grass starting to grow and so on, it's going to be great for their milk production, taking care of those little ones. I didn't see little ones in this particular group, but they might just be lying in the grass somewhere, busy sleeping. You know, they don't have to feed as much as the adults. So quite often you'll find the moms just letting them stay in a certain area while they are busy grazing, not leaving them or moving away too far from them. With the eland having horns, they can afford to keep the little ones with them. It's not like a kudu where you have the female hiding them in a thick bush and they go out to feed and then come back later to nurse the little one. So with the oryx and the gemsbok and the eland, both of them, you find the calves normally in close proximity to the female, even though they might be hiding in a little thicket or so. But they can afford to have them with them because they've got the horns to protect them. Especially out here in the Kalahari, you know, the biggest thing that they've got around here that they need to worry about is the lions. However, for something like an oryx, most of the time it's, especially with the calves, it's the cheetahs that is the biggest threat. Them and like wild dogs and so on. So having the horns, they'll be able to, you know, fend those types of predators off. I wouldn't say easily, but easily enough. But yeah, guys, we're going to move on. See if we can't find those lion tracks, okay?
Well, we have a Tommy gazelle that has decided to use the highway. Usually it's much easier to walk on the track, on the road. It's less hectic, saves energy because you're not tripping on grass and bushes. This is the Thompson's gazelle, a resident of the Mara and part of Serengeti, a very fast antelope, and they are found in small herds of breeding herds, a harem, a male with a harem, and also just a bachelor herd. Every now and then you'll get one who overslept, and so he's left behind by himself like this. He, he's alone, so we can complain and give him a lot of reasons why he's alone. He overslept, so he got left. They got spooked, got separated. Sounds more genuine, that one, but very vulnerable when they're walking alone like this, and that's why he's twitching his tail very fast, showing how tense he is, because it is very dangerous being all by yourself. You don't last very long when you're alone, here, especially a Thompson gazelle like that. All predators are looking at you. You become a target, you become easy prey, and it's very easy to be stalked. Sometimes they make it, they end up finding a small herd to join, or sometimes they seek refuge in herds of buffalo, or amongst buffalo, giraffes and other animals. He is named after the famous English explorer Joseph Thomson, who came here, sent by the Royal Geographic to find Lake Victoria, and he decided to name it the Thompson's gazelle because it sounded fair for him. Over here at the road we have some blood, and I have stopped, I have stepped out, and I've gone to investigate where the blood came from, and it is a rather sad news. I have to warn you, this is gonna be rather gross, so I would seek parental guidance for those young ones. This is blood from one of our jackal puppies, the ones we've been seeing, the 3 of them. One of them is no more, and I have looked at the carcass very closely, and then I got back to the vehicle, and I can conclude exactly what has eaten it. It is, the rib cage is still intact, the neck is not broken, the meat is just taken off, and parts of the skin. If it was a lion, it will eat the whole thing. If it was a leopard, it will eat the whole thing. If it was a hyena, definitely there would be nothing. So, very confused, even my years of being here I've been left to wonder, what am I left to see? It looks like I have to do some more investigation because the meat has been ripped off, and if you allow me, I'm gonna get out and have a look at it shortly, and so I can investigate a little bit more, and maybe there's somebody who's gonna help me find out what it is, because it's rather not a very good sight, as I warned you, so please be warned. Yes, it's very sad, I must say. As you can see, the neck is very intact. Yeah, the neck is very intact. The rib cage is not touched. The meat is just taken off from the legs. So it was a small cut. It hasn't broken the bones. So I'm doubting a lot on what it is, what has eaten it. Never seen this before. Anyway, it's part of life here, and somebody had to eat, and the choice was this beautiful puppy, and there's nothing I can do about it. Yes, I hope it was a quick death. So we'll try and find the other two that are left. Hopefully they are alive somewhere, but I'm sure they're in shock. They must be worried to see anything approach them. Hopefully I can find them down the road, but definitely one is gone. Doesn't look like it was run over by a vehicle. So definitely I would say it was killed by either a young hyena, and that's why it hasn't eaten most of the things. To say a young hyena, because it is a very big puzzle for me. All right, I'm gonna continue on. Let's take you to another live location.
Look at this. We found a drag mark going across the road, followed it in here, and behold, a leopard eating one of the many duiker that have sacrificed themselves, unwittingly it must be said, to the cause of leopard conservation. This is Tlalamba, unless I'm very much mistaken, which is not entirely unlikely. It is a 5'5" leopard. Niels and I feel a deep sense of satisfaction now. We set out to find a leopard cat, and there is a leopard cat. Why she hasn't taken it up the tree, I don't know. I think she hoists kills less than her mother does. I was just thinking that as I was driving along today. And I suppose much like her auntie, her auntie Shadow, her late auntie, who never used to hoist kills. And it's a small kill, so I mean, it's not like she couldn't take it up the tree. It's not a duiker, you know. I wonder if that's not an impala lamb. I think that's a baby impala. Or a steenbok. It's not a duiker. Yeah, I'm going with steenbok now. The ears look... let's let's go with Steenbok for now. You say this is your favorite female leopard. Good. I'm glad I found your favorite female leopard. I think she's great too. I'm really glad she's got something to eat though, because following this cat when she is not eating is completely impossible. She's as busy as Shidulu and as tricksy and hidey as Molwati, although she's not nervous. It really is amazing to see the difference in personalities and the way they behave. Shidulu's a very busy leopard, but she walks in a straight direction relatively slowly, and then she'll go up a tree or up a termite mound and move around a bit. Kuchava the other night, very slow and steady, moving, not difficult to follow. This cat moves so quickly. She's so hard. And I'm hoping she's going to take this up the tree at some stage and just give us a slightly better view. She might just sit there and eat it though. There's a fly copping a bit of a beating there. She is so far from where she was yesterday. This is typical of her. She's also not more than, what shall we say, probably 200 meters from where they found Nsele last night. So it's difficult to say what her territory is, really. I suppose Nsele is largely aterritorial at the moment. Right, now let's get a look and see. No, pick it up and show it to us, please. But I think I'm pretty sure it's a Steenbok. Loving her meal. Ooh, we've got a little dirt on our face, little blood. There's the liver coming out now. Well, Janie, I'm the wrong person to ask here because my ability to recognize animals is so incredibly poor, and people actually. But when I look at a cat like this, where most people would know immediately, I look at the spot pattern, which is just above the whisker line, and she's a 5'5" female. And she's really not making it easy for you to see. But let's have a really close look at her nose when we can. And you'll see above the whiskers, there are 5 spots. You get a close-in shot now. She won't, in typical Tlalamba style, she won't sit still. And she's got 5 spots on the left and 5 spots on the right. And that's how I would identify her. Same as Tingana, her father. That's relatively coincidental, I think. But, we think Tundi is a 3-3 female. She's got 3 on each side. Her mother was a 3-4. And so that's basically how I do it. That and the area that we're in. And the fact that, I have spent countless hours with Tlalamba. And basically I should be able to recognize every spot on her body, like many of our viewers can. amazing to me how unbelievably satisfying it is to find a leopard after all these years out here. It doesn't feel any less satisfying than it did the very first time. And a drag mark is such a lovely bonus because it allows you to track it without the difficulties of you know that it's going to be close by. Anyway, we're not going anywhere.
We have a Wahlberg eagle. Now, there's two pairs that we know of in the area because they're migrants and they're monogamous. Monogamy has different definitions when it comes to birds. You can have sort of seasonal monogamy, temporary monogamy, permanent monogamy. But for the Wahlberg's eagle, they separate when they leave South Africa and then they reunite when they come together for breeding season, and it's the same ones that come together, so they don't sort of get a different partner and stay together for that season with the partner and then get a different one next year. That would be seasonally monogamous, but they're actually the same male and female that come together in a pair every single year, and they're intra-African migrants, so they sort of move north of the equator, if you like, but stay on the continent of Africa for winter, and then they come down here for summer to breed. So there's two pairs. Now, we're on Central Road, so I don't know. It could actually be either pair. We're quite close to the Mulwati, and we're quite close to Wahlberg's Nest Road. So in the Wahlberg's Nest Road pair, it's the male that's this colour, the pale morph, and in the other pair, it's the female that's this colour, the pale morph. So they're opposites, if you like. In each partnership, one is a pale morph and one is a dark morph. And you can see, just like the tawny eagle, got that really sharp beak, so you know it's a raptor. But when you see the sort of feathers, it looks like it's got bedhead at the back. It looks like it's not quite combed as feathers. That's how you know it's a Wahlberg's eagle. But from a distance, excuse me, they are quite similar to a tawny eagle. So you've sort of got to get close and have a look. Absolutely gorgeous birds, Wahlberg's eagle. And there should be a chick in both nests. So I check every day. But because they're so much higher up than the spotted eagle owl, it's actually really difficult to tell. Now, when it comes to the word raptor that I mentioned earlier, that includes eagles, hawks, kites, falcons, owls. Even vultures can be considered raptors. Although they are closely more related to storks and they eat carrion, they can be considered raptors. Megan, I agree, such a pretty bird. This colour, the pale morph, there's different morphs, different coloration varieties, and I think tawny eagles, out of all, have the most colour morphs, and it's just stunning. Normally you find the pair, the male and female, in close proximity. And again, high level of maternal and paternal care goes into this monogamous relationship. A lot of fish are said to be monogamous as well. The sort of social structure will be determined in what is more beneficial in terms of the energy budget. But it's rather funny. They've done many studies on monogamous birds, and they've actually genetically tested the eggs, and they are not that of the fathers or the thought to be father, the monogamous male. And what happens is sometimes you will find, I don't know the term for this, but infidelity, I guess. So sometimes the females will wait until her monogamous partner is busy or occupied or hunting, and she will sneak off and mate with another male. Fish are even more notorious for joining group gatherings, shall we say, behind their monogamous partner's back. So there's still that sort of strive for finding the fittest, finding the strongest. It's all about the best genetic material for her offspring. Normally, the number of eggs can also determine the level of maternal and paternal care. The more eggs that a bird has, the sort of less investment that will be given. Whereas the Wahlberg's eagle, you only find them with one egg, one chick, and it's a lot of energy, a lot of effort for both male and female. Starting with the rebuilding of the nest, it's a long process, takes up a lot of energy to build the same nest year and year again, make sure it's sort of structurally intact. And then the process goes into the female laying eggs and the incubation. It's a lot of effort. And the Wahlberg's pair that are found on Wahlberg's Nest Road, they haven't had much luck. They've not really raised many chicks, but last year they did successfully raise one chick, which is really, really good news for us. Leanne, I have no idea the speed they fly at, I'm afraid. I really do not know individual speeds of birds. But generally speaking, because they are raptors, so they fly down in the seas with their talons, they can reach great speeds because they have to. That's how they catch their prey. And they can carry great weight as well. So they're very strong birds, but I'm sorry, I really don't know how fast a Wahlberg eagle flies. Most raptors have incredible vision, including vultures, and that's because they spot their prey from great heights and they swoop down. It's all part of their hunting strategy. What a lovely sighting. Now I think we're going to bumble north now and see what we can find.
Eagles are very, very exciting birds, and the number of eagles actually determines how well of an environment is, especially biodiversity-wise. So depending on the food supply. So from the Wahlberg eagle to our African fish eagle, a version of the American bald eagle. So it's perched on a stream there. I think she's looking for fish. The reason why I'm talking about she, because there was another one but went off. So female fish eagles are always bigger than the males. So these birds always, their diet mostly consists on fish, but when they're out on the terrestrial area, they'll go after anything else. Small snakes, they go for rodents. I've seen them in a place called the Ngorongoro Crater at a swamp called lake called Lake Magadi, where one fish eagle actually went after lesser flamingo. Like other sea eagles, they have a very special structures on their toes called the spiracles that allow them to grasp fish. Fish actually, because they are very, very slippery. So sometimes, because of how they swoop into the water, you find that when they catch or grasp the fish, because it's slippery, those spiracles help them actually grab the fish. And sometimes they can go for heavy fish, very big fish, too small. But sometimes when the fish are too heavy, you see them dragging the fish on the water. Very, very nice to see when they're hunting. They're also very brave. Sometimes you see them practicing what is called kleptoparasitism. They'll snatch prey from other birds, the herons, because where they hunt mostly, you find there'll be herons, like in a place like where she's perched. So if a heron catches something, these birds will always go and snatch them from them. It might take long for this to catch a fish. So very, very nice to see this bird. As I watch him maybe hunting, let me take you over to another live location.
Phew, this leopard is behaving exactly to type. She stashed her kill in a thick bush, and then she got the crazies. She ran up to the tree below with which she was eating, up the tree, down the tree, along here, hid from us under a bush, and then ran and jumped up and down around these bushes, and now she's lying down and cleaning herself. It's why she's so utterly impossible. But we'll just see what she does, I guess. I'm sure she'll go back to it. Oh, and she did pick it up eventually, and it's an adult male steenbok that she killed. Poor little hapless steenbok that was probably enjoying its morning, thinking about which bit of shady bush it was going to lie under for the heat of the day. Well, it's certainly got a shady bush to lie under now. It's not in the way it would have chosen.
I'm on my way. Are you on top? Myself and Mike just take fire break.
Jane, you says typical cat behavior. It might be for some cats, but it's not for most leopards. I don't know any other leopard who would have behaved like that. They would normally just sit with their kills, eat, and then perhaps head off towards water later on. But they wouldn't fling themselves around like she was. I'm not surprised she's panting. I don't think it's heat. I think it's exhaustion from hurling herself about. Very special. No, Matiela, it is not easy to spot a leopard on a hunt. Well, it depends where it's hunting, I guess. If it was was hunting across a barren open area, then it would be. But normally, when they're hunting, they're in sort of ambush mode, so they're trying to stick to cover, and they won't walk across open areas. And so they're quite difficult to spot. And we had an experience of that 2 nights ago with Kuchava, who's another leopardess, sister to this one. And we were moving with her. She was hunting, and she stayed in the thickest bush that she could. And so it's quite difficult. She's quite easy to follow because she moves in a straight line, but this cat in that hunting frame of mind is almost impossible to follow.
Yeah, the penguin now they're changing the direction. Slowly heading southwest. Be very close to Garimay.
You can hear the dim crackle of cannon fire. See what I did there? There's a vehicle next to us with people enthusiastically taking photographs of this leopard. Why wouldn't they? There you can see the spots. You can see those 5 spots there above the whisker line. 3 in a little group on the right, and then a kind of splodge of 2 on the left. On the left of the left, if you know what I mean. You can see 4 of them now. Oh, here we go. This is Tlalamba Turti. Lie down for 3 minutes. Get up, lie down again for 3 minutes, normally in a place that's impossible to see her. Now, before I move, I'm just going to wait here about a minute, because the chances of her staying still where she is very small.
Yeah, I see him. He's slowly heading southwest to the Garimay.
You can see the little tail. And as she moved, the rattlings, the sticklers, started calling off towards the right, and so she flicked it up in order to tell them that she meant no harm, a flag of truce.
We're very close to Garimay on 5 Bay here.
Well, Niels, I think we should probably try a move. What do you think? Let's see. She will almost certainly disappear. Ooh, except if we get her around this side, we'll get her face full in the sun. It will be lovely. Here we go. I'm just smiling at Aubrey there. Should get her around here if we don't destroy the vehicle on the way, which is always a possibility. That's a lovely sound of aluminium. There we go, Niels. I'm about to make you world famous. Look at that. How's that? Okay? An award winner coming up, everybody. There we go. You can almost see her. Why she can't be like her mother, take a kill up a tree and sit in the tree, I don't know. But we do love her for her individual characteristics, don't we? Now, we were just saying, when we first found her, we didn't think that, or I didn't think that the drag mark was that fresh. I thought maybe sort of around 4 o'clock this morning, because there were a few dove tracks on top of it. But having seen the kill, we both reckon that it was probably not much more than an hour ago, if that, because there's a lot left of it. But she has eaten some. You can see her belly is quite full. So probably an hour to an hour and a half. And those doves just landed on the track probably fairly soon after it went past.
We have a leopard that was called in as a male, but I have a funny feeling this could be Shidulu. It was called in the radio as a young Madoda, which means a young boy. Now, I can't see any testicles. Normally they're quite prominent and very, very visible. I think it's Shidulu. Yes, that looks like Shidulu to me. That's definitely not a young male. I don't know where that confusion came in. If anyone managed to get an ID there, send it through. But it looks like Shidulu from me. Very petite. But of course, young males are also quite petite. Shidulu. Yeah, I think it's Shidulu. There's been a little bit of confusion. But the tracks of a young male are also very similar to a female's. In fact, they're the exact same. The only difference is size. We've been looking for you all morning, girl. You can see how her ears are quite tattered up the top. That's a sign of an older leopardess. And in a few weeks' time, I really, really hope we start to see this little cub. We know that she's got one cub. Well, we believe that she still has one cub. She's already raised Kara to independence. She's been really successful. That was her first litter. This is her second litter, and sadly we know she has lost one. And on that note, other sad news is that she's currently in Little Gowrie. I'm on the boundary line and she's facing south. I got very excited when I heard young male. I thought, who could this be? Oh, that's Shidulu. Hello, girl. You don't look like a boy. Don't take offense. She's actually very big for a female leopard, Shidulu, and she has big tracks too. She's quite a machine. Maybe that's where the confusion came in. And this is the exact spot that I saw my first impala lamb yesterday. We didn't manage to get it on camera, though. Joshua, you are right. The Duchess of the West has been spoiling us. She's incredibly relaxed, you know. Just before I left on my last stint, Shidulu walked right past us all. We were at the vehicles after drive, and she just straight on past. She's very, very comfortable with humans on foot. She's very comfortable with vehicles, very habituated. She's a really, really lovely leopardess. But her territory very much encompasses Juma. Now she's pushed. She's pushed because she can. She had to make space for Kara. And she's pushed really far into Juma. I mean, we see Shidulu much more far east than we ever used to. Just like Tandi made space for Kalamba, Shidulu made space for Kara. And off she goes into territory we cannot follow. Bye, my girl. It was brief, but lovely all the same. Sorry, it's a little bit noisy. There's lots of vehicles around. And off she goes. This is the only visual we're going to be able to get of her, I'm afraid. We cannot follow. She's gone into Little Galway. And that is a vehicle. So off we go to see what else we can find. We knew Shidulu was around this morning. We just literally could not find her. She was in this block here. I think she's in hunting mode. Okay, I've checked on the hyena den twice already. Yes, I have. But I may check a third time. I checked 3 times yesterday and I got lucky in the end. Okay, so wish me luck. Let's see if we can find any other spotted creatures.
So also talking about what we could find, so we are tracking these lines now the whole morning, and we found some more tracks. We heard some guinea fowls alarm calling, so I'm sure we are getting a bit closer to where they might possibly be. Now, I am actually just looking out on the ground here, and it is really hard to see the actual tracks. But I'm going to ask Owen just to show, just down this way on the right-hand side of the track, you might just see there's some indents on the actual ground, so imprints, and they're going up in that direction. Now, it looks like it might be a mother with small cubs that have moved past here. But it is hard to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to carry on. At least we know there are some tracks here. So let's carry on with our drive. We'll keep a good lookout. Now, often with lions, especially this time of the year when everything starts to green up, we try and look out for possibly any movement. So if they lie down under a bush, you might see the tail moving, maybe the white underneath the belly. But Tyler, of course, the one method is to try and follow the tracks, and how we do that is we try and position ourselves between the track and the sun, just so that there's a bit of a shadow on the track and it's easier to do it. The other thing we try and do is look out for signs. Maybe if a lion was moving, it could have clawed against a tree, maybe it could have gone and defecated next to the road. So little signs like that, and also listening out and possibly hearing if there's anything. I might just have to do a little walk. I'm trying to look around and I don't see any other tracks on the road, so it's a good chance that these tracks might have crossed either to our right or to our left. And what we need to do from here is, instead of just driving over the tracks, is we need to try and establish, take some time, try and see where they're going, and then plan our route from there. Because if you don't do that, you do lose a lot of time trying to find the animals. So we have a little saying here at Ngalo which says, slow tracking finds animals faster. You can't rush the process. But But as you can see, it's a pretty dense area as well to be walking in. So what I'm going to do is let me just reposition a little bit here. I'm probably just going to move, like find a nice shady patch, and then possibly go and leave the vehicle and go for a walk from there.
Well, we've done another 2 circuits of this enormous thicket of Strychnos madagascarensis. Our cat has moved in very inconvenient fashion as always, but now she's sleeping again in the bushes. Some 150 meters or so from her kill, which has not been stashed safely from anything but the shortest and most unathletic of ants. Anything else that wanted to get hold of it would not struggle. Spotted something in front of her. And everything is now taking on the sort of peaceful mid-morning lull that occurs in this part of the world at this time of the year. The temperature is building rapidly, the clouds are dissipating, and I think we're into what Brian Joubert used to refer to as a cookathon. The suite of birds' callings changed. We've got rattlings, testiculars. The franklins have shut up, just a few doves calling still. Soon the battises will start with their... You can hear a NIKKI going. And the gentle buzzing of insects provides a background. Viola, leopards sleep far more on the ground than they do in trees. The reason that you see so many pictures and videos of leopards in trees is that that's where they're easier to take pictures and videos of. And so you see a disproportionate amount in the media of leopards in trees. In actual fact, they prefer sleeping on the ground and seldom sleep in a tree unless they have a kill in it. There are definitely exceptions, and, Shidulu's a good one. Tundi sometimes does it, where they sleep in trees. I think she was found, if not in a tree, certainly halfway up one yesterday. But they won't sleep for long in trees because it's uncomfortable. There's always something sticking into them and spiking them. And so although they will do it from time to time, it's much more likely that you'll find them if they are minded to have a snooze. You'll find them on the ground like this cat is. There's also a Steeling's wren warbler calling. The people on the vehicle in front of us are just arguing about who has more wrinkles than the other. This is always a nice topic to hear when you're sitting with the leopard panting in the shade. I'm also not really sure why they need to be shouting at each other given how close next to each other they're sitting, but there it is. So I think what we'll probably do is give her, I don't know, another half an hour or so And we'll wait and see if she goes back to the kill. But if she just lurks here, then we'll probably move on. But knowing her, I think she'll move. Must have been her tracks we had earlier as well, because they followed from where she came yesterday. Saver, leopards will sleep, I guess, roughly 16 to 18 hours a day, depending on how much they've eaten, what the conditions are, how hot it is, how much territorial patrolling needs to be done. They sleep less than lions, but they definitely sleep a lot. But sometimes it'll be, little, probably as little as 12. And often it's in spurts. They'll sleep for an hour, move, sleep for an hour, move. Unless they've got a kill nearby, in which case they can sleep for a long time.
Okay, guys, our options are to look around if we move there. Isn't the safe settled there? I'm going to move a whole lot. So shall we do that?
They're just complimenting her now. Yes, Rhonda Tlalamba is a cute girl, I imagine, unless you happen to be a steenbok, a duiker, an impala, and possibly even a squirrel. I think they'd find her much more terrifying than cute. I think she's cutish. I think she's lost her cubbly cuteness now. I think she's now much more, what shall we say, she's a beautiful adult female leopard now. I'm not sure how cute she is anymore. There's definitely an element of cuteness about her, though. You can see it's warming up, and she's eaten quite a lot. For her to be that full and for her to be panting like this, I think maybe she probably killed that thing at about 5. As the steenbok was settling into his morning espresso and chocolate croissant, he was set upon by Tlalamba the leopard. Most unfortunate. You can just hear her breathing almost.
Yeah, I'm delivering gems to Tlalamba.
So the leopard luck at Djuma continues. I've still got another 12 to go to catch up with Tristan. Michael, I'm the wrong person to ask because my ability to recognize animals is so poor. So, she reminds me of Karula, her grandmother, as much as I suppose any other leopard in the area does. Characteristically, no, she doesn't remind me of Karula in the slightest. Karula wasn't like this, certainly not when I knew her. And, she was much more like Kuchava, somewhere between Kuchava and Tandi. She's had a slightly more pleasant demeanor than Tandi. So looks-wise, I'm the wrong person to ask, but characteristically, no, she doesn't remind me of Karula in the slightest. But I must say I can see a resemblance between Karula, Tundi and Guchava. I think they've got quite similar looks to them.
One of my favourite antelopes, a steeny bokkie. A very relaxed one. And you all know what happened to our last relaxed one. I'm still too traumatized to talk about that. But when you're this small, when you're the size of a steenbok or a duiker, it's way more sort of advantageous to be alone. So although they're monogamous, steenbok, they have a partner, they still don't travel together. They're normally very, very close to one another, sometimes in line of sight, but it's far more advantageous to be alone and hide. Once you get to the size of an impala, then it becomes a lot more difficult to hide, and that's why they group together in herds, and they're vocal and they're loud, and they don't try to hide themselves. They'll flee. Whereas steenbok, they will freeze. And sometimes I play this game with one on quarantine. I run on quarantine every single day. And there's a little steenbok that I see every single day. And it sees me and it freezes. So I just pretend that I don't see it. I clearly saw it. And I just think, oh, I don't see anything. I'm just running. There's nothing here. Because I want the little steenbok to think that it's doing a very good job of staying hidden. But it's actually not. But I don't want it to know that. So we just play this game every single day. Some of them can be very relaxed, but you'll normally find when they get a fright or they smell danger or they hear danger or they see danger, they just freeze and then they go down low on the ground and they're trying to sort of blend in to the background. Now, there was a youngster, there was a lamb on quarantine as well, but I also think our lovely Pingui Pat got to that too. They can move their ears completely independently as well. So not only do they have such large ears, that cartilage is huge to channel all the sound in, they're also able to pinpoint the direction of sound so accurately, and that's something that not all humans are very good at. I mean, we can gauge roughly where sound is coming from, but not accurately like animals like this. Now don't worry, we're far enough away from Shidulu. We left Shidulu behind. Now, they are called the dwarf antelope. They're only about 50 to 60 centimetres, half a metre in shoulder height. It's very small. And approximately 10 kilograms will be your heaviest steenbokkie. I think that's around 22 pounds. And as I mentioned earlier about them being monogamous, within the monogamous pair, they're very territorial. But their territories are really small, and they can be as small as about 900 metres squared. It's not a big territory, but still, they're territorial. And within that territory is mainly about food. So they'll set up their territory in areas of sort of high-quality resources. So I'm going to pretend that we've not seen this little steenbokkie, and we're going to head to Chitwa Dam.
Welcome back to the Mara, and here we have a big herd of wool zebra, and we have out in the background we have elephants just moving off slowly, and that looks like a very big herd. Now, these zebras have not yet headed back to Tanzania. So previously we find that there was a mixture of herds here. We had the zebras and wildebeest, all they inhabiting these plains. So the reason why they've not yet left is because we have wildebeest who are mixed feeders, and because zebras eat the medium grass, and to an advantage where we've had rains a few past days in these parts of the Mara, so they keep on walking from one place to another for foraging area. And because of the rains, this red dot grass sometimes can take about even 5 days to shoot out on the grass, on the ground. So you find that from moving from one area to another, they at least have that advantage of this grass, and then eventually they'll head back to Tanzania. So annually we see about 250,000 to about 300,000 zebras that migrate towards this plain, and they always accompany themselves with the wildebeest. Those two stallions are going after each other. Sometimes that is called a play fight. Sometimes can also be serious. You find that stallions sometimes, when they meet from different zeals or different groups, they always do combats like that. Very, very nice to see this kind of herd in this plain.
Well, different area. Here I have the Olololo females. This is the collared female and two of her daughters. It looks like they haven't seen somebody for quite a while. They were very skittish when I arrived here, and so I had to let them, get used to me, and now they're used to me. And you can tell they're very relaxed now. Nothing to worry about. They have walked a very long way, from where, they were last seen by Tim. It's almost 3 kilometers. It's a very long way. Not that, they did it in one fortnight. I think they did it in 2 days. But they are in the same line, close to the escarpment and in their territory. This is the end of their territory where they border the Owinos. I've seen the Owinos here. So this is the edge. Maybe it's the last bit of their territory where they share and could bring conflict if they were found here. Looks very relaxed. Typical of lions when they've eaten. That's what they're doing. And the sun is warming up, so keeping away from sun. They haven't eaten, so there's no stress of them overheating. So in the shade is perfect. Perfect, perfect. That is a lone elephant. I don't know what's disturbing. Oh, there's an antelope running behind it. That's why it got skittish. And there's a giraffe also. Whoa. Yes. Now, that gives you a picture of how far the elephants can climb. That is up towards the escarpment, and it's coming down quite hastily now. It's not happy anymore with the antelope. There's some giraffes also. These are very peaceful area, and they have found a place where they can browse easily. That giraffe is walking along the escarpment. You see it? Quite cool. And he's got no problems at all. Yeah, it's coming down slowly. Yeah, oh yeah, you're asking about Jasiri? Jasiri is safe. I haven't seen him since the last update about 2 weeks ago, but the rangers have been watching him, and he's doing very, very well. He was last treated about 2 weeks ago, actually. They had to treat him again because there was another predator that had to be treated, so they took that advantage of having the vet around to take a look at Jasiri, and they did take care of him. So he's doing better, he's doing okay, and everybody's taking care of him. One day we will be able to share him with you when he's healed and walking okay. But I do see him every now and then. When I see him, I'll update you, having seen him physically, but the rangers told me he is very fine. The Olololo Pride, they just mated, and all of them have mated. So we expect a lot of cubbies in January. So hopefully you'll be there to welcome them with me. Well, I'm gonna stick here because I've been looking for these girls. I'm gonna stick here for a little bit, see if there's something happens. Let's see what's happening somewhere else.
So after tracking those lions for a little while, we couldn't continue because they moved into a really dense area where we unfortunately lost the tracks. But as we moved on, we found this giraffe feeding off this thorn bush. But look at the way that it's maneuvering its lips and its tongue around in order to get some of those leaves. It's incredible how quick it is, almost like she's licking the leaves into her mouth and then maneuvering her lips around and then slowly just pulling it off. Look at that. What's always impressive to me is that how they're able to feed so quickly around the tree that has so many thorns. Now look at it around, you'll see all those spiny bits on it. And so that's one of the ways that the tree is able to defend itself, is by having those thorns, which makes it more difficult for the animal, especially the closer it gets towards the stem, to feed. But also the other thing it has a chemical defense against this giraffe, where it will produce a chemical known as tannins that will make it taste more unpleasant. So hopefully the giraffe doesn't eat all of it. But you can see this one is just enjoying this particular tree. What I do love about a giraffe is, of course, the colorization. If you look at her ears, you'll notice how white they are and around the side of the cheeks. And then suddenly you have this belt of brown from between the horns all the way down towards the nostrils with a dash of black, and then this coppery rufous color like over the lip, and this very black ends at the end of the horns, or those ossicones. And what I do enjoy as well is look at those beautiful long eyelashes of this female. Now imagine with a thorn bush like the one she's feeding in, if she's not careful, how easily she can actually just prick out her eye. But because of those long eyelashes, she's able to maneuver and actually just feel where those thorns are. But she is such a beautiful animal. Now, just left of her is another one. But have a look. There's two interesting birds sitting at the very top of this one's head. Now, for all our birders that are watching, it's a very special bird we find here. Well, you find it in most of southern Africa, but if you look at the colors of this bird, especially red beak, quite a lot of yellow around the eye, and look at what it's doing, how it's taking that bill and combing through the hair of that giraffe. So those are the red-billed oxpeckers, and they're after all the ticks that are probably around the head of this giraffe, like behind the ears, maybe behind the horns. Oh, they just flew off. But remember, we were talking about those long eyelashes. Look at her eyelashes. Very delicate face as well. the whole scene. I mean, we're sitting here at a bit of a crest and we have a beautiful view of the background. And I can just think that these giraffes were probably, you can see in the far back, the area slopes down. Maybe there was some water there, so you don't know if they've either been feeding in this area and eventually going down there for a drink, or maybe even they've come up from that area, slowly start feeding their way all the way to the top of this crest, and then from there, slowly start heading back in that direction. Because for the giraffe, they're not territorial. Especially these females, the males will fight for breeding rights with the females, but the females form what is known as a temporary association. So they never stick together for long periods. Look, something caught her attention. See how she's like flaring out her ears, looking in, like off to the right. Now earlier on, so the pride that we were tracking looked like they might have split up, and we think that some of the members might have gone down into one of these drainage lines, and so she's just carefully scanning, making sure that there's nothing before she moves on. But you notice there's also quite a prominent scar like on her neck. So see where her ear is? If we go slightly back, have a look at that. Now imagine, we're talking about lions, if lions had to chase her and she started running, and possibly if there was a branch, she could have accidentally like hit her neck against the side of the branch. Because of it being a female, she won't fight with another female for any male. And because of that, it won't be a scar from any fight, more likely being chased or accidentally bumping her neck against probably a very sharp branch. Absolutely love giraffes.
Here we have a damselfly, I think, not a dragonfly. Although they both belong to the same group, Odonata, and they both have really, really similar biology, there's differences. Now, it's hard to tell from here because normally the wings and the eyes are key giveaways. But if you just look at that body, it's very, very narrow. The abdomen is very long and narrow, and that's normally a key feature of a damselfly, whereas dragonflies normally have a much shorter abdomen and it's really thick and bulky and round in appearance. Now, when you look at the eyes, the damselfly has a sort of gap in between the eyes. Like us, we have a gap in our eyes, whereas the dragonfly's eyes join. So they've both got incredible eyes that are made up of lots and lots of little lenses, but there's definitely a difference, but it's really hard to tell from this angle. And there's also a slight difference in the wings. Now, with damselflies, the forewings and the hind wings are exactly the same size. They just look like replicas of each other. Whereas in dragonflies, they're not equal in size, and the hind wings are much broader at the base than the forewings. So that's the sort of key features that you're looking for. So I think we do have a damselfly here. One of the most ancient orders of insects. Changed very little evolutionary in terms of their biology, but reduced in size. I went into this the other day. And when I say biology, it's a very unique biology. What happens is that they start off aquatic and they breathe through their anus. Yes, they have a special respiratory system that allows them to breathe underwater through their anus, and they use their rectum for jet propulsion. That's how they move through the water, by squeezing out jets of air, and it allows them to move. And they have sort of hydraulic powered grabby mouth parts. So they're very, very unique. And then as time goes on, they then sort of develop the biology that allows them to breathe through air, through a tracheal system, and then they can obviously develop wings and fly. But they're carnivores from the start. Their sort of diet doesn't change. And they were even known to be cannibals. They can eat their own. But it's normally sort of tadpoles or mosquitoes that land in the water, or very, very small fish. So the bottom, the anus, is very important in these insects. They can use it for food, for locomotion, for breathing. So although it doesn't sound very pleasant to us, it's very, very important to the sort of biology and the everyday functioning of the Odonata group of insects.
Question. Nectar. Do they hover over water like dragonflies?
Okay, we're having a lot of issues with our comms here. But yes, they do hover over water like dragonflies. They absolutely do. This one's resting. They're very, very similar, very closely related. There's just a few key differences in their appearance. But yes, they also hover over water, and they are specialised for snatching prey in the air. So they're able to sort of use their really, really acute vision and snatch prey out of the air. Now, it has to be extremely accurate. Imagine you're flying at speed and there's a mosquito also flying at speed. And you've got to somehow accurately aim so that you can catch that mosquito in flight. It's incredible. And the eyes are so complicated. They're called compound eyes. Like many insects, even lobsters have compound eyes, so they can see in all directions. Imagine that. 360. And the eyes are actually made up of 30,000 sort of really highly sensitive pixel-like units. And they can sense all kind of light, including UV, which of course humans cannot. So their eyes are very, very sharp. And that's what allows them to compute all this information and to accurately hunt. Now, to us, they're beautiful, but imagine if you were a mosquito or a small little fly. Dragonflies must be terrifying. Ah, what a lovely little sighting of a damselfly. I think we are going to sit here a little bit longer until it flies away.
Sorry, everybody, I'm just listening to the radio quickly. Sibui and male cub, yes, south of Treehouse Dam, but I'm not sure where they went. Right. So, this cat has been wandering around and has now again decided to lie down. We had her in the little sort of fallen down but still growing beautiful jackalberry tree. And then she came out again and lay on the ground, and then she moved, and then she disappeared into this gully, and we thought it was all over. And finally we found her again. It's all been a very trying morning. She continues to move further and further away from her kill. Maybe she's a little bit like a wild dog. Should. So peaceful now. Everything around us is going to sleep. except the insects. They're starting up. Various kinds of cicada are talking to each other. Very cool. The soundtrack of summer has begun. Dion, this big cat is panting because it's hot. A. B, she's got a full stomach, and the heat of, or the metabolic heat that is produced by digestion is quite a lot, and so it'll make her hot and she'll have to pant. I guess it's a little bit like if you eat a massive Sunday meal, or any time of the day meal, any time of the week meal, you'll also be a bit hotter than you might have been otherwise, and you'll sweat more. They don't sweat, so that's why she's panting. And also, the stomach, if it's very full, will push up against the diaphragm and reduce the amount of expansion that there can be in the abdomen for the lungs, and so she'll have to breathe more shallowly. But I think I used to think that was the main reason, but I don't think it is anymore. I think the main reason is the metabolic heat that's being produced and the high ambient heat. She's not stuffed. I mean, she's quite full, but she certainly could be fuller. She's moving sort of slowly in the direction of a waterhole, and I think maybe that's her plan, to go and have a drink eventually and then maybe make her way back to the kill. So we'll give her another 10 minutes or so, and then I think we'll probably move on.
So as James was mentioning, it is starting to become really warm. And you can see these 4 buffalo bulls have gone and found a nice mud system to go and just lie down and cover themselves with mud, as well as with the cool water to cool themselves down. But have a look at this one here. I mean, notice how he's moving his mouth, but he's not really feeding off anything. So like a cow, these buffalo also have a 4-chamber stomach. So when it's warm like this, they tend to move into the water. They'll bring up all the food, and they'll start chewing it and then swallowing it. And as it starts breaking down, it will then go to the next chamber and then until it eventually gets to the true stomach. But there's another oxpecker that just flew to the back of this buffalo's head, and you'll notice if I'm not mistaken, has a yellow bolt. So that's the yellow-billed oxpecker, which is a really nice oxpecker for the area to see. This buffalo bull very relaxed, but if you look at the horns and the body and where just all the features of this buffalo, just imagine the stories that you can interpret from that he would have gone through. Just if you look at those horns, imagine he must have been in quite a few fights, possibly rubbing it up against some of the trees, maybe against the old stump, and you can see it really worn down. Maybe even broke it with a fight, or maybe as it was running away from lions. I'd love to know from our viewers, what do you think could have happened to this buffalo bull? Now, like that oxpecker, I'm trying to see if there's another interesting animal that we could see in this waterhole. Now, often around the buffalo, or even if there's rhino, or especially those two, if they lie down in water, often the terrapins, they will go and pick the ticks off the buffalo. And they almost act like the oxpeckers, but within the water. So they do eat other insects. It might be, see that one, how that buffalo, how it's moving the whole time. Oh, there it looked like it was the head of one, but it might be because those terrapins are trying to pick. Oh, there's one that just came up now. So you'll just notice like this white head bulging up out of the water. There we go. See, right in the middle there, and it might be that they're not trying to pick some of the ticks off the buffalo, and that's why the buffalo is constantly moving its leg in the water, because you can probably feel that as it's pulling the hair. So let's give it some time, see if we can see the buffalo moving again, and then most likely we'll see that water terrapin picking up its head out of the water. There we go. Rosemary, I agree, it is a full spa treatment. It's normally how the rangers get their ticks off. We go and lie down in those mud wallers. Just kidding. No, but it is just such an interesting sight. And imagine now for them, they probably would have heard the lions in the area, but because they're these 4 old buffalo bulls, they'll join up together. Because they have been pushed out of the herd, there is that safety in numbers. The more eyes, the more ears, the safer they feel. But even for a lion pride, they have to be very cautious, especially if they do approach all 4 of them lying down in the mud wallow here. Because often with buffalo bulls like this, it's not like they would just run away from any potential threat, because they have to weigh up all the options. They might not necessarily be able to run away from them, so they either have to face, it's either the predator or them. So that's what makes them such a dangerous animal, especially if they get surprised. And who knows, this might be like a little pan where they could spend the majority of the day. I mean, they've probably had quite a lot to eat this morning, had something to drink and decided, let's come down towards this little pan system and just lie down in the heat of the day. I think today's going to be a really warm day. So they made a very good decision to come down and lie down here. What we might just do is we'll spend at least another 5 or maybe 10 minutes just to see if they're going to be heading anywhere. But if not, we might just carry on. Kelly, if I had to judge, I would probably say that they might be close to 17, maybe 18 years old. They do look like so sometimes with buffalo, like depending on how much the horns are being, especially that boss, that very broad section above the head, how much that has been worn down. Even the older buffalo bulls tend to lose some of their hair, so even the back quarters, especially when they start rubbing up against trees, and over a long period of time, they'll start losing a lot of their hair. So they are quite on the oldish side. And most likely also couldn't keep up with the rest of the herd. See how that oxpeck is just maneuvering that bill around the nose, possibly hoping that there's some ticks there. And just here off to the left, look, notice there's another little bird that's pruning itself. It's definitely the oldest animal that I've possibly ever seen had to be a crocodile, because they can at least get up to nearly 100 years old. And I have seen a fairly large crocodile, which I possibly think could be close to at least 80 or maybe 85 years. And also, I mean, during my time guiding up at Pinda, we used to do a lot of turtle trips to go see the loggerheads and the leatherback turtles. And I know they also get pretty old, and I've seen a pretty big one that's nearly as broad as a car, or the tracks was broad as a car as it was coming up to nest, and I know they also get pretty old. So those probably had to be the oldest ones that I've seen. That one was also maybe close to 100, if not more, years old. But here, probably from all the land animals that I've seen, has to be something like an elephant, because they tend to grow older than most of the animals here, up to nearly 60 years old, sometimes a bit more, and in harder conditions, a bit less than that. But imagine now also, we have the oxpeckers here, we have the terrapins that are feeding off the ticks. Also now with this mud, as soon as it hardens, and they go up and rub up against a nearby tree, it also helps to pull off those ticks. This is one way of how nature, especially because they don't have, like we can take our hands, maybe flick off a tick, or they can't do that. So they rely a lot on other animals as well as some of their behavior in order to rub and hopefully dislodge some of those ticks.
So when you're talking about how animals have different ways of taking ticks off their body, elephants have a very good way of doing that. Sometimes you can see them scraping off from stumps and trees, especially from a wide wallow. When you look at them, it seems like they've been rained on, and some have a little bit of drying up mud on their body. And once in a while, they walk off to a place where there's a big stump of tree, maybe there's a big tree, and then they scratch off and get rid of the ticks. So this is a big family, and you can see there's lots of babies, and they're all walking towards the swamp as the daily norm, daily routine, how they always come from the escarpment, head towards the swamp. It seems like they're walking fast. Actually, one family is actually looking at us, facing at us, stopped to investigate what's going on. I think this is two families actually. At one, I thought that it was one big family, but it seems like it's two families. I can see they've all settled down, they've all slowed down because the matriarch is actually walking behind them. I've seen that. See that cow with very short tusks, the one with flopped ears. Thank you so much for your question. An elephant herd sometimes can go up to about more than 50 to up to 100 individuals. But we always see herds consisting of more than 40, which is always very nice to see. So all these families will end up at the marsh. And when families meet, sometimes they don't always fight because they're from the same species, but there's an interaction between families and families where you find youngsters playing with each other, and eventually they split up, heading back to their own families and come to where the matriarchs will lead them to. So the grass is a little bit moist from the rain last night. So at least you can see them enjoying that. The youngsters are actually even more jovial because of the rain last night. You can see the youngsters, they are following the elders, and they always watch how they do it, how they pull grass, how they support that with their front feet as they pull to put in their mouth. You can tell when they're on a mission because of how they're moving. They're walking in a very fast pace. Not that fast, but at least you can tell they're heading somewhere. Normally when they're coming off from the swamps, they're always in a very slow pace, stopping, maybe drinking. But right now it seems like the youngsters need to drink. They need to get there fast. And that's the role of the matriarch, to do that. So in the absence of the matriarch, the entire herd becomes confused, especially where you find younger matriarchs or smaller matriarchs. The families are not as well compared to the families with the older matriarchs. Change position to get a good view of these elephants walking towards us and heading towards the marsh. So I'm going to take you over to another live location.
We found one of my favorite reptiles, tree agama. Now, this is fascinating because I spotted it because it was bright blue. It doesn't fit into the sort of scenery of the bush here. Oh, we've got a moth in the car. Oh, hello. Bear with me. Let's see if I can get this moth for you. But all of a sudden, it's just gone very, very pale in colour. It's gone from being bright blue. It's definitely a male. The females don't go as bright as when we first saw it. But now it's gone remarkably pale. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to get that, but we've got a gorgeous moth of sorts flying around the vehicle. It's not flying very well, though. I hope it's okay. It's one of those pom-pom moths. Oh, now it's landed. Hold on. Don't get stuck in the car, little one.
I'm leaving Kalamba.
That's James. He's leaving Kalamba. It's on my jacket now. I don't know if I can get this moth for you, but it's so interesting because they're very, very different from butterflies, and it's nice to actually look at them and to be able to show you this. Give me 2 seconds. I think I'm going to be able to do this. Here we go. It's on my jacket, which I definitely don't need because it's very... Okay, the moth is not playing ball. It's now landed on my leg. So let's go back to the tree agama. Oh, it's climbing up. So there's a... Oh, it just ate something. I have no idea what it was, but it's very, very fast. They use their remarkable speed and they use their sticky tongue to catch insects. And the males, during breeding season, that's the ones that get the bright blue head, not the females. But this one has just gone remarkably pale. And again, like all reptiles, don't start to get active until the sun is really, really up high in the sky. And that's because they are solar powered, a completely different biology from other animals. From birds and mammals. Being ectothermic puts a lot of limitations on your lifestyle. Kelly, no, they don't change colour like chameleons do, but they can sort of lighten and darken their colour, and obviously it will change in breeding season. But it's not the same as chameleons. It will be done through the same mechanism, using specialised skin cells called chromatophores, and there are different types of chromatophores, but they don't change their entire coloration of their body like chameleons do. It's just small changes due to the fact that they need to let the females know that they are ready to mate. And that's when they get this bright blue head. They're very territorial and actually can be really aggressive as well. And there's lots of animals in the animal kingdom that actually have chromatophores. And there's different types due to the different pigments that they have inside. And the different pigments, of course, will bring about different colours. And if they release a blend of pigments, just like you learn in art in primary school, blending colours produces different colours. Octopus even have them too, chromatophores, so they're not unique to reptiles in any way. But they can come under different control. So they can change colour either under neural control, quick snapshot firing from the brain, or they can change from hormonal control, which is much slower. And you get xanthophores, and they're the ones that contain your yellow and red pigments. So it's a type of chromatophore, but that contains either yellow, red, and of course a little bit of a mixture of the two would blend to orange. Now, iridophores, they are the ones that are clear, if you like, and they have sort of stacks of crystals in them which scatter light, so it either generates a sort of shimmery iridescence or blue. And then you have the melanophores, and they are the ones that contain, as you can guess, black pigment. So they're your specialized chromatophores. Now this little moth is, oh okay, he's flown away again. I'm sorry, I tried. So chameleons don't actually change colour to blend in because they already blend in. They change colour to express mood, and mood is related to hormones, and therefore the chromatophores change colour due to hormonal control. So when the hormones in the blood change, it takes time for the blood to get round the body to send that signal to change colour. And that's why chameleons are slow colour changers, whereas octopus and all cephalopods are fast colour changers because it comes from neural control. So within a fraction of a second, the brain sort of fires a signal and the chromatophores change colour. And that's why octopus are said to be the best colour changers in the bush. So it really depends what you use the colour changing for. Octopus needs to change colour to blend in, to escape and evade predators. Chameleons, not so much. They're using it to express mood, which is exactly the same as the triagama here. When he's feeling all boisterous and ready to go into mating season, his mood will change, and that's when he turns blue. Ah, what a wonderful reptilian sighting for the morning.
Well, from Angama with Lauren to a beautiful jackal puppy. This is a different set, or a different set of puppies from the ones from yesterday and the one that I saw that one of them was killed. This is their four. I think this is the second time we're sharing these puppies with you. And there is one that is very distinct and doesn't have a tail. There are four of them in this den and very, very shy. Unlike the other ones that used to come to the vehicle, these ones are very wary of vehicles. Like you see, he is retired and resting, and he can see us through the grass and also listen to us if we decided to go walk that way. So these ones are very, very shy and not used to us. Remember, they have different dens within an area of about 100 square meters. They can be in a rectangular form or triangle form. And so every time we find them somewhere, in case of any threat, they can easily run towards one or the other. Remember that jackals eat berries, and also they do scavenge and also make a lot of hunting for themselves, grasshoppers, birds, bird eggs. And also they do scavenge when they get a chance. So they're very, very successful. Their numbers is also, improving and increasing. It's nice to see puppies like this. He's looking through the grass, definitely listening for me and looking at me. See if I get out of the vehicle, I'll maybe try to walk towards it, which I'm not gonna, because I don't have to. Yeah, their pointy nose resembles, the foxes and the coyotes. But in the Mara, we have two types of jackals. We have the side-striped and the silverback or the blackback jackal. The silverback or the blackbird pair for life, and they can be gregarious when they have puppies like this. It's the most common. The side-striped is less seen, much bigger, almost twice the size of the silverbacked, and very aggressive towards the silverbacked. If it finds it, it will try and kill it. They are very, very aggressive. They have a nice side stripe, a very long one that, is very prominent. From where they are, I would assume that they were not born very far. Maybe they were more than 4, and now they're only 4. And of these 4, it's always very sad to say, but mortality rate is very high when they're this age. Anything from big birds of prey, leopard, lions, cheetahs, even other jackals will try and get rid of them. So mortality rate is still very high, but maybe where they are, it's very safe. They might be able to survive. So I'm gonna leave them because they're hiding. Let's try and find something else, and while I do that, let's take you to another live location.
So from the jackals to our elephants, and seems like they've got close to us, and now they're crossing the road, heading towards the swamp. We have very beautiful families here. Look at that one. She has a task facing the opposite direction, just like our dental formula. Also, elephants have the same kind of thing that happens to them. Sometimes you find deformity in task formation or task growth. You find that we have elephants that cross their tusks. We have elephants with one short, one long. We have elephants with no tusks at all. So it's just like our dental formation in humans. See them when crossing the roads. The youngsters are always protected and shielded from the object or subject that is close to the elephants. Those are 2 young bulls. And soon they'll be graduating from these herds. So they tend to walk to be bachelors, where they will be joining older bulls. So we'll just change position to see this other family. It's very interesting how they split up and how they go off different direction. That is instinctively because of the matriarchs that help them do that. See, this family has stopped here to carry on grazing, while the other one has just moved forward. So between these 2 groups, this is what we call the bond group. When family group increases in number, beyond the capacity of this environment, sometimes they split to form 2 groups. And once in a while, this family will come, meet each other, and then greet each other, and then carry on with their activity. So when they split up, the 2 new families join from time to time as the bond group. So we have cows and calves from central structure, where you see them gathered on the right of the screen. And we have the matriarch, who always leads and who the family always resolves to. So you can see that she started moving, and then that entire family will keep on following. And just as we saw the other group following, we saw the adolescent bulls walking behind. They're always at the periphery of the groups. Lynn, thank you for your question. The reason why the ears get torn and tattered is because of the terrain they go through. Sometimes the elephants will go through bushes and thickets, and those twigs, that pointed sharp twigs that elephants walk through, because they're continual flapping of the ears, they end up tearing their ears. So that is one main reason. Trunk wrestling. Mom says no, it's time to head off. Let's carry on, stop playing. Change position again. So I'm going to stick around and watch these elephants as they're slowly moving towards the swamp as I take you over to another live location.
We have a hunting hammerkop. Hunting for breakfast at the edge of Treehouse Dam. A wonderful bird, a wader, with partially webbed feet in order to wade through the water, because all its sort of prey is inside the water. And talking of water, apparently I said octopuses are the best colour changers in the bush. I definitely don't think that's true. Slip of the tongue. You don't get octopuses out here, just saying. You do get them in the ocean, and they're the best colour changers in the animal kingdom, is what I was trying to say. I hope some of you found that entertaining. And yes, it is octopuses and not octopi. Why? Well, octopi is Latin, and the word octopus comes from Greek. So although maybe it doesn't sit right on our tongue, it's definitely octopuses and not octopi. If you say octopi, then you are getting it completely wrong. Now, the hammerkop bird was actually reclassified. It was in a different family, and now it's sort of placed in a family where its closest relatives are thought to be the pelicans and the shoebills now. Remarkable hunting strategies. The way they wade, and what they do is they use their sort of feet, stir up the sediment, and allow for anything that's settling on the sediment, be it crustaceans, be it mollusks, be it fish, larvae, anything can get stirred up, and then it gives the hammerkop the opportunity to use its beak, dart in, and fish for whatever delicacy it fancies. And I mean, with a head like that, you're really quite unmistakable. The hammerhead of the bush, hammerhead shark in the ocean. This is the hammerhead of the bush. Now, we actually came back to Treehouse Dam as there was a sighting reported of Subui's youngster, her male. And I think that's where the young male comms came in earlier. I believe Shidulu and Subui's son were in the same area. And that's where the confusion came in. And it just shows you these leopards just weave in and out of one another, aware of one another's presence, but avoiding one another. They're all trying to make use of the land out here. So that's why we popped back just to see if we could see any signs of him. Oh, go, go, go. On such a winner. Anna Marie, you said you're fascinated by the hammerkop's huge neck or head. Nest, Third time lucky. Yes, I know, they're remarkable. And especially in the Masai Mara, there's an area, I remember driving across that every single day, and it's unbelievable. They're very, very creative with their nests. They're one of the largest nests we actually get out here, the hammerkop nest. Ding, ding, ding. I think the lapwings are not happy at something. Probably us. But going back to the hammerkop nest, it's actually built by both species. So again, there's investment from the male and female, which allows them to make these incredible large structures. And they can actually be built communally by up to about 7 birds. Fascinating. Okay, we're going to bumble on to the hyena den for one last check.
So with it warming up, some of the animals will go down to the water to drink, and others, like these elephants, will go down to the water for a swim. So what I want to do now is, because there's so much happening, I want you to listen to the elephants as they move through the water, as some of them might be trumpeting. So I'm going to be quiet. Just let's listen. Ron Husker, the population of elephants, or elephant population, is doing really well at the moment. I think for most animals, they're probably the one, especially here in South Africa, that does quite well because of the fact that they can, they are able to basically feed off quite a variety of different things. So they're not very selective. I mean, they can feed anything from grass to trees. They can go to water holes to drink. If there's no water, they can go into riverbeds and dig for water. So they're very adaptable in that way. And because of that, they do really well. Also with predators, it's very unlikely for something like a pride of lions to go down or to go for an elephant, especially with youngsters if there's a lot of other elephants around. So currently they are doing very well, especially within South Africa. But you can see how they're all just enjoying this water now. It is so warm. I mean, we're sitting here and it basically feels like it's close to maybe 33, 34 degrees Celsius. It's really warm. So these elephants are using this opportunity just to cool down. And of course, the younger ones, they just want to have a good swim and enjoy their time as well. There is a slight breeze blowing. And imagine after going into the water and cooling themselves down, as soon as they move out and they start flapping those ears, all that cool wind blows over them, how it has to cool them. Because with an elephant, having such a thick skin in the African bush, it has to have a variety of different ways, behaviorally, but also physically, in order to adapt or to survive this heat. Now, if you look at these ones here, you'll see some have their whole, probably like just arched their backs and sitting on their bum with their heads out of the water. And the others are standing, probably going to investigate, seeing that there's a lot of fun on that side, so I want to get closer. Might even be that these are a couple of young bulls that just are sizing each other up now. See how this one off to the right, slightly bigger. The other one's actually backing off as this one gets closer. Just notice the trunk as well, because they can't breathe through their mouth, they only breathe through their trunk. So every time they breathe, their trunk has to be out of the water, even if their whole head is submerged under the water. But incredible, I can already count how many elephants, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, possibly even 10 that are swimming at the moment. And earlier on there was a lot more, but the majority of the herd is already crossed out. It's only most of the youngsters that are still having a bit of a play in the water. Merely Jelly, they have, so on the front feet, they have 5 toes, and on the hind, only 4. And you can also see that on their track, like the back track is a lot more elongated, looks like a rugby ball, whereas the front one looks like a soccer ball, so a lot more rounded, because that's also where the majority of the weight is of an elephant. Imagine that, like broad, big head, like all that part of the neck, the shoulders, the organs, so most of the weight is in front, so that's why they tend to have bigger legs, or more sturdy legs and a sturdier bone structure, especially more towards the head, and not so much on their back legs. Shame the poor hippos have been pushed all the way to the side of this water hole as these elephants are playing, making a lot of commotion. They're just moving to the side. And later on, as the elephants move, the hippos will probably start settling down again. Have a look at these 2 youngsters here. Earlier on as well, they were pushing each other, just trying to show off who's the more stronger one. See how that one's flaring his ears towards the other one? Might even chase him a little bit.
Welcome back to the Mara, where we've come to the very first spot where we saw the mating lions. You can see just the top of the mane, just on that grass. That's Ololache there, lying in that grass. Not a very good spot to spend the day, but I'm sure because these two are mating, sometimes they get exposed to the sun and they can sleep from where there's shade and an open area where it's actually bare. But good thing there's cloud cover, so at least they're not as hot. So we got in here earlier today, we saw elephants coming towards them, and they slowly moved to give away the elephants, which was very nice to see. But I think they've been mating for a little while. I think it's almost 3 days now. So we'll wait here for a little more minutes to see if they'll go about it again, which is very, very nice to see, knowing that we'll also have a lion population in 3 months' time adding up. So we've seen about 4 lionesses from the Ololo Pride mating and 1 from the River Pride mating. So if it happens to be successful, then we'll have boom in cub population next year. As I wait for these two to come to mating again, let me take you over to another live location.
Well, here I am with a very beautiful herd of elephants that I thought they were going to come my way, but they have decided otherwise, and they have all the right to do that. Now they are crossing, and they seem to be on a mission to get to where there's water. Where they're headed, there's a nice stream with very clean water from a small spring we call Sabaringo. It stretches from the Olololo City escarpment and comes down, does hold water for a very long time, and that's where they're headed. I cannot blame them, but they have arrived here. There is a lot of fresh grass, very, very easy to chew on, irresistible, and so everybody is taking that last bite. Yeah, as we go, pick up one. Remember, this is life coming from Masai Mara, the Bara Triangle. Lots of lily fans and elephants mixed together. So it's a beautiful big herd, another big herd of elephant. I'm sure there is one that I saw. Look, they will look at the one behind there. Anytime this one will pop, she's gonna give birth, definitely, without doubt. Look at that belly. I wish I could see that. But for sure, she's gonna give birth in the next couple of days. She looks very heavy and tired. Yes, I'm talking about you. Yes, you can see her nipples are very swollen, so means very soon she's gonna give birth. I don't think she's gonna go for more than 3 days with that belly like that. So we're gonna have a new one. Remember her face, so that when I tell you that's the same one we saw a few days ago that was almost. Remember her? Look at her. I'll be looking for her. Definitely, most definitely. Yes, she's got that ear. Do you notice it? It's got a notch. That's one way of telling. But also she's very elderly. You'll say she's in her 50s, but still a good age to give birth. She's got both tusks, but there's that distinctive notch on her ear. Note that. I'll be looking for her in the next coming days. Remind me that. Yeah, it's such a beautiful sight. All heading out, and look at that. They know there is water somewhere, and that's where they're headed to. Behind there is the Olololo City escarpment. Yes, I must admit, it has been a baby boom this year with all the little fans. You can see them. There's evident, no doubt. We've had a good number of little ones. There is some there without the tip of the tails. It's normal for every now and then for them to lose them. They lose them sometimes from infections and sometimes from when they're very young. Elephants, hyenas trying to take them. Yes, I think this is an awesome sight. I'll leave you to it and while we take you somewhere else.
Talking about babies, have a look at this one that's following possibly the mother. Now you'll notice I can't see any tusks yet. Often when they're young, and only from after a year you start seeing tusks. So this one, imagine if we followed and eventually starts going into the water. But look at the size of that elephant bull just behind them, how much bigger it is. But this is an incredible scene. Notice the tree line in the back. You can see there's quite a few little islands as the water starts to dry up a bit. And then, of course, the elephants just loving the heat and the water, being so warm that they can actually have an excuse to go into the water. Notice just off to the right of where we're looking, there's a hippo. Maybe there might even be two hippo on the side. One just gone down. Now, earlier on, the hippos were further up in the water, but because of the elephants, probably moved on. Now, let's see if this is a mother with possibly a young calf with. And the one went underneath, could be another hippo, but let's just see. Often the calves will stick quite close to mom, even sometimes on mom's back. Let's just have a look. The thing about it is if a hippo goes under the water, they can stay up to 6 minutes before they need to come back up again. So if we do find something else, we'll come back there, but let's just enjoy the rest of the scene. Oh, there's a little one. It is a little hippo, just in front of mum. Probably just had to stand on the back legs there to just get some air. You can see there's another elephant at the back moving towards the water from where these are. He's actually taken a branch and throwing it around. So this same little elephant was chasing Egyptian geese earlier on, and James, I agree with you, it is such a very tranquil scene with all the elephants around. So let's just sit and let's just enjoy the sounds. Notice how this one is just starting to move out. Now eventually, like all these elephants will probably move out in the next little while and go and feed. You see the tree line in the back, probably move in there and go and feed. And then eventually later on, even come back to the water, or maybe even tomorrow. But definitely such a special morning, and being able to see this is incredible.